It's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
I also wanted to include this today in the COVID portion of the show because this was an epic rant, okay? A Democratic state House member in Pennsylvania, his name is Brian Sims. Apparently, Brian Sims went to work in the Pennsylvania legislature, and the Republican members that sit on his committee went to work also, knowing that they were positive for COVID-19, and they were so eager to do Trump's dirty work and open up Pennsylvania and pass a whole bunch of legislation that they did not disclose to the Democratic members of their own house, of their own committee, that they were COVID positive. They wouldn't wear masks. They didn't take any precautions to protect the members who didn't have COVID from the members who did. And they kept it all a big damn secret. And so Brian Sims literally was boiling over this morning and got on Facebook. And I tweeted it because it had to go national. This is so disgusting and so wrong and so disrespectful of others, which is what Republicans are. They're self-centered, self-serving, egotistical psychopaths who are opening up states knowing that there's none of the benchmarks that the CDC, that the White House laid out for opening up states. None of the benchmark. 14 days of declining cases. I don't know anybody that has that. Anyway, this was so sad and so sad. And I just want you to know, I think he mentions it in one of these clips, but he actually, this man is such a compassionate, decent guy that he literally donated one of his kidneys to somebody who needed one. And now he's immune suppressed. He's fine, and the guy who got the kidney is fine, and everybody's fine, but they have suppressed immune systems.
I think this is on. Hi, everybody. Representative Brian Sims here. I am in my office in the House of Representatives. I just walked back here from the House floor. Today has been one of those kinds of days where I hope in the years to come, the decades to come after I finish serving in elected office, that I hope I'm able to sort of put out of my memory. I sort of don't exactly know where to begin. This morning, apparently, House Democratic leadership learned that for as much as a week, perhaps longer, that House Republican leadership knew that at least one of their members had tested positive for COVID-19, that other members who'd been exposed to him would eventually go on quarantine, but they didn't go on quarantine until they were done serving alongside us, especially those of us that serve on the state government committee. So for those of you that know, the Pennsylvania House of Representatives under our gerrymandered Republican leadership has been perhaps the most active state legislature in the entire country. And during that time period, during the entire COVID-19 crisis, the State Government Committee has been the place where all of these fucked up bills to pretend that it is safe to go back to work have been going. And every single day of this crisis, the State Government Committee in Pennsylvania has met so that their members could line up one after one after one and explain that it was safe to go back to work. It was safe to go back to race car driving or dog grooming or getting your hair cut. Meanwhile, what we're learning is that during that time period, they were testing positive. They were notifying one another, and they didn't notify us. I just spent the better part of the last 11 weeks sitting across a room from people who would eventually test positive and decided not to tell us. They did do some kind of quarantine. They did do some kind of contact tracing. They, I guess, being Republican leadership.
That is so gross, wrong, vile. Well, we have the freedom to infect anybody we want. Telling the entire state of Pennsylvania it was safe, knowing that they themselves were testing positive, that they themselves had to go to quarantine, but they didn't. They didn't because they wanted to open Pennsylvania. They wanted to tell Pennsylvanians that it was safe to get their hair cut. You have people that are literally begging for their lives with their faces smashed into the asphalt with a white supremacist cop with his knee on the neck of a man who is screaming, I can't breathe, and begging for his mother. But these entitled freaks think that they get to kill you to keep the numbers down. I mean, this man, he is livid.
Russ Diamond, apparently, many of you know as the person that has led the charge to open up the legislature, screaming every single day in committee about how we were safe and how there wasn't a risk, has apparently been quarantining himself for weeks. Of course, he didn't explain that to any of us when he was in committee, talking with us, or walking up and down the aisles, or bumping into us, or letting us hold the door open for him. I kind of don't even know where to begin. Let me tell you a little bit about why this is so fucking dangerous. First of all, let's start with the Democratic chairman of my committee, Kevin Boyle. Kevin Boyle's got 2 young children. Kevin Boyle every single day comes up to this Capitol and then goes home to his wife and kids, his 2 young kids, and nobody decided to tell him that it was okay for his kid to be exposed, but not for these members. I know one of the members put out a statement saying, I was looking out for my family. Well, you were exposing our families. One of the members of state government has a wife who is immunocompromised. Let me tell you why it matters to me. F***ing A. Let me tell you why it matters to me. I wasn't planning on talking about this until after the election, but in January, I donated a kidney. I secretly donated a kidney to somebody in my city, somebody who lives blocks away from me who was dying of renal failure. I'm so proud of having to do it, but it was not for public consumption. It was for my friends and for my family and for my staff. And every single day that our gerrymandered Republican leadership has been calling us up into this building so they could pass these ridiculous bills pretending that it was safe to be out there, they were covering up that it wasn't safe.
They are really obsessed with keeping the numbers down. You remember when Donald Trump didn't want to test the people on the cruise ship because he liked the numbers where they were? I cannot believe that this representative had to be exposed to COVID and privately donated a kidney. And he goes through a whole long list of people, not only with children at home, not only with grandparents at home, but of people who are literally immunocompromised. Somebody, one of the other members, his wife is recovering from, cancer. It's just... There is nothing, absolutely nothing, beneath this dead and dying party called the GOP that is worth saving. There is absolutely no there. There is no decency. There is no progress. There is no honesty. There is no trustworthiness. There is no agenda for anybody who isn't them. RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.